Well, good morning. It was cold here last night, about 41 degrees. So, I got my winter, my, my pseudo winter gear on. I got my penguin's hat that I found in the junk. Still got a price tag on it. I just left it on it. Hadn't worn it, had it for months, but I don't wear things like this very often until my ears get cold, and then I got to do it. And I'm having my morning campfire coffee out here in the middle of somewhere in the city. Well, I got to looking last night. I hadn't been talking very much because my phone's been off, so I didn't have any money to get it. And it's been like get it back on, so it's been like I don't know, a month, and that kind of makes it hard to post anything. Although I haven't posted anything yet. I've been kind of waiting on the moment, but more than that, I wasn't sure that I was going to post this stuff, and I hadn't even looked at some of the videos that I had run or that I'd recorded until last night. And when I did, I realized that my initial inspiration was right. I think I need to do them just raw, real, unfiltered, just showing people how to survive, or how I survive in the middle of an urban sprawl in this little tiny oasis that shouldn't even be here, but it is, because, folks, sad to say it, hard times is a coming, and I know that most people aren't ready for that. Most people aren't ready for World War III. They aren't ready for a collapse of society. They aren't ready for money to be completely foreign to you in terms of its nature. They're fixing to flip the system. When they do, it's gonna scare the shit out of some people. It's going to catch you off guard. I promise you. Gonna catch you off guard. You know, I've been wondering for years why God would allow me to go through such hard times. And being reflective about it, I have to think that there's a reason for everything. And sometimes it's more than just education. Sometimes it's more than learning. But sometimes you're allowed to go through things so you can learn before people have to go through it themselves. And I'm not saying that everybody will. I'm just saying that there are going to be people whose lives turn desperate, and they're not going to know how, where, what, when, why to do. And because I've already been through it, and because I'm half intellectual about it, I'm able to articulate that, hopefully, with some heart, and help those that I'll never meet. I'll never meet you. I'll never know you as my friend other than on here. But I have a heart for you. You know, it's just my nature. But anyway, after I saw those videos last night, I decided that I would get up this morning and before I got into my routine, which is pretty strange, as always. And a lot has changed in my neighborhood, I'll say, around the house in the past couple of months. And I've been very busy. And I haven't really thought about recording videos. Unfortunately, I now wish that I have been more, proactive in trying to record some things for you. At that time, I was just busy, and I was frustrated, and I was without money for my phone. So, I was like, well, what's the point? Well, there is a point, and I'm going to try to make it a point. Anyway, my sleepy eyes, my crazy morning. I woke up yesterday, and what was I after? I found from my junk pile back over here, I found a piece of galvanized roofing. Been here, it had rust and a couple of nail holes in it, and blown off a barn or some damn thing, who knows. But it was laying back up under the grass, or under the vines here, a couple months ago. And I thought, well, I don't need it now, but I'm not going to drag it back over to the compound, but I'm going to drag it out of the hill, out from under the vines, and throw it over here. And so I came up in here to get it yesterday morning, and because I thought I might have a use for it. Turns out I do have a use for it. And since then, I have dumpster dived, and believe it or not, found some tools that I could actually cut it with. God works in mysterious ways, is all I can say. I don't know. When I came in here, I had not a tool one, really. The tools that I have were lost in storage, and basically everything I own that I had left was sold at auction because I couldn't pay the rent. Got behind a couple of months, and they don't hesitate. They take it, sell it. I had a Christian fellow that was kind enough to help me out. Caught me up enough to get me in there, and I got some things out. And after being way behind, he actually bought my unit at auction, which is kind of crazy because I couldn't afford it, and the storage fees were so high that he couldn't afford it. But we had the idea that, well, what if we just let it go to auction, and that he was there to bid on it. And that's what we did. And so we saved about 2/3 of what we owed. I owed like $1,200, and he bought it for $400, and then gave it to me, which was a godsend. But I don't have a vehicle, so getting in and out of it was a problem. Getting the rest of it was a problem. He couldn't really help me because he's a musician and he travels, and he had shows and tour that he had to go do, and so ultimately I wound up I made some money. Turned out to be a scam, and I was counting on that money to pay my storage unit and get my stuff out of there, and it wound up that not only did I lose my storage unit, but the money that I worked for in this thing that I did online turned out to be totally for naught. It was $2,700 that I earned. Just gone instantly. And just another one of a long line of things that keep happening and have happened just to keep me here. So I wound up losing my unit, but I did manage to get in there and get a couple of things that I needed. Not everything I wanted, that's for sure. I only got enough to be able to put in his car, but it wasn't more than some clothes and some notebooks that I had some financial stuff in, and a few small things. But there was the last of what was sentimental to me, and it's all gone. Everything's gone. So when I came out here, long story short, when I came out here, I had nothing. No tools. Very few clothes. And what I did have was given to me, and I was making do. So like I said, I'd been here, I guess, a year before I started making these videos. But it hadn't occurred to me to embrace my situation. I was here, but I was only surviving, not thriving. And that's kind of the key. It's a mindset. You know, you can either let it defeat you, and I'm sure it would defeat anyone for a moment, but you can't stay there. You got to lift yourself up, and you got to believe that there's a higher power, and that higher power will take care of you. It may not be what you want, but it'll be what you need when you need it, as you need it. So I just survived, and when I started making these videos, the first few that I did here, I started realizing that, damn it, I didn't have any blessings. I didn't have anything. But then I thought, but wait a minute. I didn't have any resources, but look, here's something that, man, if I just had a house, I could use that for my house. Or if I just had a tool, or whoa, here's a tool, and man, if I had some wood, I could build something. And that kind of thinking just started perpetuating my realization. God was blessing me, believe it or not. As hard as that sounds, it was a blessing. So that's why I started accumulating stuff and finding things, and not necessarily dragging it all back over to the compound, but knowing where it was, remembering it, and going and getting it if I needed it or if I could use it. So anyway, long story short, I didn't have anything, and all of a sudden I started dumpster diving and finding things that shouldn't be in there. I wouldn't have gone in there, but things like this hat with a tag on it, things like, well, lumber, like 2x4s, and nails or screws, 2x12s, 12 feet long, from building site, that throwing it in the dumpster. And I tell you, I have stolen nothing. That is not my nature, and I don't advocate it. Finding things, foraging things that are not necessarily food. People always misconstrue that foraging thing about berries in the woods. No. The berries in the woods are dumpsters that have treasures in them, okay? And why people throw stuff away is I don't know. I'm glad they do. That's all I can say. I'm glad they do. So I started finding things one at a time. I'd find a saw. I'd find a shovel. I'd find a pry bar. I'd find a box of nails, or a box of screws, or half a box of screws. I'd find a half a bag of grout. I'd find a sheet of plywood. I'd find pallets, lots of pallets. And I realized that God had blessed me enough that I finally had a pile to begin creating something. And this is the thing that I hadn't really told you. It's a project. And the project is a shelter for myself that is in the middle of nowhere, right in the middle of town. And You wouldn't ever expect it to be here, but it is, and it's a pretty substantial area. It's quite a few acres that are down in here that are junk. It's junk land. It's land that's this hat itches. It's land that is a drainage area, and it's not flash floods or not low. It's high, but it's a ravine area that the land in the upper around the basin here, that kind of drains, the water drains off down into here through a couple of sewer lines that are huge for drainage that run off into the river, and parking lots drain into some storm drains, and there's some access for that to come on down in here. But it's been here for years. I mean, it's just a piece of property it's private. It's private, but it's unwanted. It's just here. It's, as I say, it's so steep. From up there to down there is about 80 to 100 feet. And this is relatively flat right through here, but it's just a small little corner. And it's loaded. It's completely forested. Up, down, the trees here, they go up about 70, 80 feet up on this side, 100 feet down in here. And the leaves are beginning to fall off the trees now, but it's in the spring and the summer, it's thick. I mean, you can't see down in here. It's cool, surprisingly cool in the summertime. It can be 95 degrees and it's probably 85 up under here. And that's really pleasurable in the summertime, especially when you don't have any air conditioning. Yeah. So anyway, oh, I forgot. I had a cinnamon bun. $6.79 at Publix. Food bank. They get returns and day-old stuff, and they donate it. And I brought it out here with me to eat this morning for a bite. For a bite of breakfast. Don't look too bad. As you can see, I've been munching on it quite a lot. Something to dip my coffee. Anyway, I don't know if you noticed the difference between the last time I was on and now. You know, I'm several miles, a couple of miles anyway, from an airport. I'm also not too far from a train track. 'Pretty busy road. 20,000 cars a day. Not too far away. 500 feet, maybe. Planes. It's an approach path. But what I've noticed is there's multiple runways, so I guess they're not using these runways as much right now. I think they were working on the airport. Not sure about that, but I think that's part of the reason why it was so noisy. There were so many planes. I mean, there were times in the morning, good Lord, for 2 hours, it was non-stop air approaches. And the planes are low, so it's loud. And hell, it would wake you up, couldn't sleep. You know, it wasn't just 6 o'clock in the morning. It was like certain times of the night, around midnight, and, around lunchtime. There were flights all the time, but it was loud. And that's probably the worst part about here. But if you listen to it now, this is kind of the ambient noise right now. It's pretty much average, pretty much the way it is regularly. And it's kind of gone back to that, which is nice. You hear the birds, you hear the roads, you hear the trash guys coming with dumpster, picking up the dumpsters and taking them off. You hear some planes, you hear some noise, but it's really not, it's not bad. You kind of get used to it. You hear the train, but the train's only a couple of times a day at certain times. And, you know, after you kind of get used to the environment, you forget those things. So, you know, it might be tough to deal with and adapt to, but, you know, that's what this video is about, adapting, you know, adapting. I had so many thoughts to give you last night. I didn't put them down because I thought I'd remember them, but newsflash. My mind ain't something I can depend on as much. But anyway, wanted to show you a few things. I'm gonna flip it around. It's damn. Look like, I don't know. Anyway. So, it's really kind of pretty. Here, let's flip it around if I can. I don't know. We'll get to it. I'll have to do some editing, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to learn something. But this is, like I said, the old homestead. She's changed a bit. And there's got to be a way to turn this camera around. Why can't it turn around?